Abdellah, what makes product management different today compared with a few years ago, and how does it differ to the first year we're starting? So the question is for you today, how do you do product management now?
So I think product management, historically speaking, is something that started back then, 15 years ago, 20 years ago on the West Coast in the US, mostly in the Silicon Valley, and it had a specific definition. And that definition was really defined by the people. It wasn't necessarily something that you went to school for, or someone decided that this is what you have to study in order to become a product manager. And I think it stayed true to that until today. Product management is really defined by the people doing product management and by the role that they fulfill in their organization. At least that's how I see it. And it has evolved quite a lot over the last 5 to 6 years. I think the COVID has been quite an inflection point for what product management can be and what it can do. And now with AI, it's even becoming another iteration. We are seeing another iteration of what product management is. However, the one part that I see that has been quite constant in product management is that you are responsible for your product. You are responsible for the consumer experience or the customer experience, be it a business or an individual consumer. You are responsible for the P&L of what you are shipping out there. You're responsible for the health and the quality of what you are offering. And ultimately, you are also the leader of the organization or the team that actually ships and builds and iterates and fixes the product that you are working or you are the product manager for.
Did it change? This didn't change in the last years.
But the fundamental change that I see, especially in the last few years, is that we are expected as product managers to be even more in the details. We are expected to understand more technical things than before. I come from a background from a software engineering background. It has always been the case that there were technical product managers and non-technical product managers. I think it's becoming now a de facto expectation that you are also in the technical details of what you do. And it's becoming more and more accessible and more expected given the AI tools that we have today. So for example, if I build a product, let's say, that manages money movements, for example, like moves money from A to B. It used to be more of a black box as far as what's happening inside, the ledger, the bookkeeping, the reconciliations, and all of that. Now you can just go and basically understand exactly what's going on into your system, exactly what are the tables that you are in your database, what are the requests, what is the API call, what's going on inside. And that is also becoming more important in the discussions that you have with your team and also the decisions that you make today and tomorrow. And this was really more of an expectation for technical product managers a few years ago, and now it's becoming just an expectation of product management. That's just one example of how it's changing.
Even for profiles not coming from the software development part. So I don't know, marketers or product guys having been product manager all their life will understand it better, technically speaking, thanks to the Gen AI tools like Cursor.
Exactly, yes. It's becoming, it's opening up that door and there is no going back. Now it's just an expectation. If your product is a car, you should definitely learn how the engine works. You should understand how many pistons are in it. You should understand exactly where the oil is. And this is really similar to what we do today, especially in technology product management.
Do you see any difference in the way you do connect to the final customers or to your internal stakeholders?
The only difference I see is that with more adoption of the new tools that we have in front of us now, it is much more easy to expect, or it's becoming more easy to product managers. You are really expected to know your consumers' behavior, your consumers' experience, their feedback, the software that they are using, or the endpoint that is being called, and the database that is behind it, and even the speed of the whole that experience and how smooth and snappy it is. It is not something that used to be, let's say, reserved to, let's say, the elite product managers. There used to be a time where very few product managers would have not only the expectation, but also the ability of going really fully end to end, from a P&L item to an experience, all the way to a line of code somewhere. And I think with the tools that we have today, this just becomes something that is feasible for everyone. And it's just a question of who is going to do it and who is not doing it.
Okay. You're product director at Klarna in Berlin today, Abdel. Klarna is a bit famous about having announced very early, very strong changes through AI in the way they do work and in the way they size the team and they do leadership. What's the reality behind this? And what's your reality as product leader, the reality you live in with your team? do you use AI internally? What's your word?
Absolutely. So AI is in everything that we do today. So of course it started with like the very simple ChatGPT. It already feels like it has been there for 10 years. Really like just familiarizing ourselves with the open AI platform, with the APIs, how to use it, how to build maybe a simple agent. Just everyone having access to code repositories and everyone understanding more and more what's going on. If there is a bug somewhere or there's some copy change somewhere, you can just understand where the logic is being built, how it is being built. You can give feedback on it. You can also contribute to it if you want to. Also, when it comes to data, like I can query my own data. I understand how databases work, how tables work, but it's just becoming significantly easier if you just have an agent on your side where you can just ask questions and it can help you build those queries or just query the data for you yourself. So it is really becoming something that is on a day-to-day basis. It's just something that gets slowly and consistently integrated in your tasks. Just before our chat here, I had a discussion with one of the product managers, and we were discussing how to make a business case for one of our suppliers, and we needed some information about how much will we earn on a certain type of transaction. And this becomes an easy discussion. It's not something that I need to figure it out. No, I can just go to our internal agent and maybe write a few prompts or a few commands, and then I will get the answer based on our internal data, based on our maybe some supplier contracts or maybe some publicly available information from the internet. And this would have been something where I would say before, okay, we need to figure this out. Let's come back to it tomorrow. You go and figure it out now. But it became more like, oh, we can actually do it right now and right here. It's also something where like it's not very common that everyone just has cursor on the side open. They can clone a repository, being they are technical or not. They can ask questions to that repository, and they can have meaningful, concrete discussions with the engineering team, even without being technical. You don't necessarily have to understand if you are using a Kafka topic or an SQS queue, but you know that it's an event-based setup, and you can ask what the event structure is, what the schema looks like, what is the information in it. And this usually would be something that very few would even have that conversation, let alone understand the details of what is in that schema and maybe what changes could be there, what is used as information, what is used for the information, and what is missing. Today, it's just something that you can just have in the conversation all the time because you have AI tools next to you to help you understand that.
And you train your teams to do so.
Absolutely. Of course, there's a training is also like when you have AI tools, it's also something that is more self-service, so to say. It's not something where you sit down and you say you have to go and learn this. It really becomes an expectation that you go and figure it out because all the tools now are in front of us. If you really want to learn something, you can really just have a session of back and forth with the chat, right? With the agent in front of you, or very simply, if I want to learn something, I can just go to ChatGPT and learn it, right? There is still maybe something that is like missing in my opinion, and the fundamental understanding of certain things. Because if you want to go from here to maybe like how do you go like even further, I think this is where maybe some fundamental learnings and where computer science maybe what might be needed, or at least some basic understanding of how software works and how technologies that you are using work at a high level. But apart from that, there's really nothing that would stop you today as an individual contributor or as a manager to just get into it. And it's becoming easier for companies, or at least in our case as Klarna, to just expect that from people because it's not as difficult as it used to be. And now everyone just gets familiar and comfortable with it.
I love this, and I love the fact that you're really using it and reinforce your team with AI tools already today. Thanks a lot for sharing that with us. Abdellah, from Product Director at Klarna in Berlin, thanks a lot for your time and for your answers.
Thank you. Thank you, Julien.